Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video. This time around for this game right here, Fire Emblem Awakening for the Nintendo 3DS. Fantastic SRPG that I'm really glad I got it. I wanted to get this game on day one, but it took me a few months to purchase this game, but I'm really glad I finished this game. I'm I guess a fairly newcomer to the series. The only other game that I played in the series is Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones for the Game Boy Advance. So this is only the second game that I completed in the Fire Emblem series. So I think, from the little experience that I have, I think this is a very good starting point if you're a newcomer to both the Fire Emblem franchise or and the SRPG or strategy RPG genre. So don't feel intimidated. There's a demo available for this game, so download it because I truly think that this game is for everybody. I think RPGs sometimes get the reputation that they are very complex games that really take a lot of time to get into them, and that's true to an extent, but this game does a really good job of introducing new players to the genre and the Fire Emblem series. And the game does that by offering a wide array of difficulties. The game has a casual and classic mode. In the casual mode, if one of your units dies during battle, that unit gets revived at the end of the battle, whereas classic mode is a typical gameplay mechanic staple from the Fire Emblem series, in which if one of your units dies, then you lose that unit forever. So personally, even if you're a newcomer, I recommend that you play the classic mode, just because it adds a whole layer of tension and immersion to the game, because you really worry about your units, and you really think twice before you make a move or before you position your units in a certain way. So definitely try and play the classic mode. But again, if you're very intimidated by it, I mean, don't feel bad playing the game on casual. It's still a great game. And I guess another tip that I have for newcomers is that try not to use Frederick too much. Frederick is one of the mounted units that you get at the beginning of the game, and he is incredibly overpowered, which is good because he can help you clear some of the early chapter bosses in the game. However, if you keep using him, then you're gonna over level him, and your other units are not gonna get leveled. And once you reach the later chapters, you need a very balanced team in order to succeed. So if you just keep using Frederick, you're gonna over level him, and then you're gonna find yourself in trouble later on in the game. Now, as far as the story, I'm not gonna go into detail. It's just your typical Fire Emblem story where there's always conflicts with the neighboring nations, and then the story develops from that point on. But let me just say that the game has a really good story, that it's helped by the use of animated cutscenes that look fantastic. The artist or whoever did the animations, it's great. And the only bad thing is that there's a lot of animated cutscenes early on in the game, and I feel as you progress through the game, the use of those animated cutscenes goes down. It would have been nice that perhaps at the end of each chapter, the game would have shown you those cutscenes, because they really look great and they do a beautiful job of presenting the game. As far as the soundtrack, fantastic, great songs, great sound effects are appropriate for the game. Graphic wise, those cutscenes, they look great, but as far as the game goes, there's nothing really special, nothing breathtaking. The game does have a pretty good use of the 3D effects, especially during battles. So I highly recommend that you check out the 3D effect on the 3DS version. And let's see, as far as the length of the game, The game has 20 plus chapters. I don't want to give the exact number of chapters because I feel like that's spoiling the game a little bit, because if I tell you the exact number, you'll know what to expect on when the game is going to end. But the game does have 20 plus chapters, and on top of that, the game has paralogs, which are side stories or side quest missions, and I believe there's over 20 of them. I completed all chapters in the main story, obviously, and then I completed about 17 paralog chapters. So, and that took me around 45 hours. So this is a pretty lengthy game, full of replay value, because on top of that, not only you have the paralogs, but you also have a lot of DLC content for this game, a lot of downloadable missions and maps. So if you want to extend the life of this game, you can easily go over 100 hours in order to fully experience the entire game. Not to mention some other features like Street Pass and whatnot. But as far as the the gameplay itself, this is pretty standard SRPG. The game does a beautiful job, and again, this is a good thing for newcomers. The game does a really good job of teaching you the basics as you progress along the story mode. So the game doesn't have a dedicated tutorial. The tutorial is basically you playing the mission. So for the first 5 or 6 chapters, the game is going to keep introducing new concepts as you progress along, which is really nice because you're progressing in the story mode and at the same time learning new concepts or mechanics for the game. And the game does a really good job of not over explaining everything. They teach you the basics, and you're good to go. So really good job of mixing tutorial type missions within the story mode. That way you don't waste your time in separate levels that are just tutorials. Now the game also has a really cool feature where if you pair up units, or if you have 2 units fighting alongside each other, they develop a bond or a relationship. So if you have a male unit pair up with a female unit, they can also develop a bond all the way up to a certain rank in which they can get married. And then later on in the game, the couples that are married, they can have kids. And it's really cool because I think that the kid inherits some of the stats from both the father and the mother. So you can, in a way, create and have control of some of the units you want to have later on in the game. And the units are, they range. They have different classes: knights, generals, magicians, dark magicians, mounted units such as paladins, great knights, and the game does, again, a beautiful job of keeping a balance between the weapon usage and the class usage. So you definitely have to have a pretty balanced team. And again, regarding the difficulty, the game starts off I'd say easy, and then it becomes difficult, and then it becomes a little bit easy, and then it becomes really difficult, and then it drops down. It's almost like an up and down difficulty curve. At least it was the case for me. But again, if you just be careful, don't try to over level certain units too much. Try to have a very balanced team, and you should be good to go. And with that being said, I lost, I believe, 5 or 6 units throughout the game, and it really sucked because obviously I was playing the classic mode, and so I lost those units forever. And I think two out of those 5 or 6 units were really important to my team, and I was very tempted to reset the game, but I decided to stick around, face the challenge. In a way, it was sort of my fault that they died, and but it's really funny how you develop a bond with your units, because you build this core unit of soldiers and for your army, and you become attached to them, and some of them are a critical part of your strategy, and then you lose some of them and you have to restructure everything again. You have to either retrain some of your units that you don't really use, or you have to recruit new units. And so the game has a very dynamic flow and a very a lot of variation in terms of gameplay. So yeah, definitely Fire Emblem Awakening. It's a great game, great story, pretty decent graphics, and the one thing that I think most people are going to enjoy about this game is just the overall gameplay. In a way, it's easy to understand the basic concepts, but it can get very you can make it to be complicated if you want to fully learn all the ups and downs, and obviously you can switch the difficulty if you find the game too easy. The game offers like really tough difficulties that they should keep you on your toes, because playing this game on hard, it's very, very hard, trust me. But overall, Fire Emblem Awakening, a fantastic game. If you have a 3DS, please make sure to check this game out. Definitely one of the top games of 2013 out there. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.